ध्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक् प्राणश्चक्षुः श्रोत्रमथो बलमेन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मेस्तु तदात्मनि निरते य उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Om, may all my limbs attain strength. May the body, the mind, and all sensory and motor organs become powerful and perfected. All is verily the all-pervading, blissful existence itself, the Brahman. May I never deny the Brahman. May the Brahman never reject me. May all the virtues needed for the experience of this truth as proclaimed by the scriptures be with me. Om, peace, peace, peace. Let us feel our shapes are gone. After all, they were shapes, like the shapes of the ice cubes, as the ice is kept in a tray in a warm weather. Let us transcend the shape and thus we feel the all-pervading, one without second existence itself. All is enveloped in this one without second Brahman, the existence itself. There is no time, no space, no birth, no death. No desires, bliss itself. Now let us imagine we have gotten back into our forms, the shapes and the associated names. But we know it is not real. It is impermanent. The Brahman alone is real. Om. Peace, peace, peace. That clicker. Thank you, brother. So, dear friends, after 3 months, we are again at this discussion of stories from Srimad Bhagavatam by the tremendous unbounded grace of God. So let us begin with our usual chant. Janmadhyasya yatonvayaditaratashchartheshvabhijñasvarat Tene brahmhridaya adikavaye muhyanti yatsurayah tejo varimridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha dhamna svena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi. That from whom creation, sustenance and dissolution of the universe take place, who is both the instrumental and material cause of it, who is omniscient, is the only one having self-mastery, being the one independent entity, who illumined the mind of Brahma with the Vedic revelation, whose wisdom is the wonder of even the greatest sages, in whom the world of the three gunas subsist, just as the combination of materials like fire, water, and earth subsist in their causes without changing their elemental nature, in whose consciousness there is nothing false. On that truth supreme we meditate. This opening chant, which is actually the first verse of this great scripture, Srimad Bhagavatam, gives the essence of what is in that book. It is the meditation on the truth supreme. So, when we are reading this book, various stories from this, many beautiful episodes, yet the idea is to feel the truth supreme. Truth supreme is that which is beyond all names and forms. It never changes. That is the supreme truth. Relative truth is contextual, means as the context changes, it also changes. It is that something is true today but not tomorrow. Something is true here, not on the moon. These are the contexts in which something is true. But if the context changes, then its truth value goes away. But there is this truth which is irrespective of any context, that is true. It doesn't change according to the time, space or causation. So, it is therefore one without second. Other relative truths are many. They don't contradict each other necessarily. Like the truth, Naomi is sitting here and somebody else is, say, sitting in India. Now both are true statements, they are true truths. Today it is, you can say it is true that it is evening. Somebody in Australia would say it is morning. Both are true. And they don't contradict each other because in the given context they are true. But then the absolute truth is that which is one without second, and it gets reflected according to the situations as the relative truths. Like the one without second sun, just as an example. That one sun will get reflected in various pools, various mirrors, in all different reflectors. So, the sun is one, but according to the that receptacle and the reflector, the expression of it will change. So that doesn't mean suns are many. It is the sun is one without second, and it gets reflected in various situations, in various contexts differently. So there is the contextual or empirical truth. It changes, like the truth of science is said to be empirical truth, that in a given context it is true. But the context changes, the situation changes, our knowledge base changes, our reasoning, these capabilities become different. tools become different, and thus we see the at different times the science proclaims different truths. Not that one was false and other is true. At that time, in that context, that was considered to be true. The context changes, and now something else emerges as the true. So that changes. That is the difference between the empirical truths. Nothing wrong in empirical truth, except we should understand and understand clearly that it is empirical, it is contextual, it is different for different space, different time, different persons. It changes. So, this is the truth that is being told here, is the truth that is supreme, which is the same for all persons at all times and all situations. So, and why should we meditate on it? A question would arise that, well, what do I care for what is supreme truth? This relative truth is sufficient for me, for my situation, for my need. This relative truth is sufficient. Why should I care for this supreme truth? Like that story is told of one movie director, that he was looking for some character, good looking actors. So somebody said, but that is just a skin deep beauty. So he said, well, for my purpose, that much depth is enough. I don't need deeper than that. It is whether that person's pancreas is pretty or not, I don't have anything to do with it. It is skin deep is enough for my purpose. So one may say that this relative truth is enough for me. Why do I care for the supreme truth? The answer is, all that we seek in life, that is connected with this supreme truth. We all care, that our desires indicate that we all want happiness, we all want the freedom, we all want love, and all that is contained in supreme truth. And what is in the empirical situation is exactly opposite. It is full of suffering, and we don't need any proof for that. It is a fact that everyone experiences. It is full of sufferings. It is full of restlessness, no peace, and no love, no freedom. Is this situation liked by us? It is not the situation that we want to be in. And friends, that is the really the source of religion, that they desire to be free, desire to have the unending, and if I am permitted to use that word, intensest bliss. It is, that means beyond that you cannot think of bliss. It is the highest, it is never ending and completely free from any misery. It is in this that we have all the love. So, therefore, we seek and meditate on the truth supreme, the relative contextual truths. They do not give us what we desire. If this present situation is very nice for us, we don't need anything more than that. Okay, but that is not the case. Here we are constantly dissatisfied, looking for making the things better and better. But alas, what happens? We try to make the things better, and then they don't become better, they pretty much remain the same. Certain things get changed, but we cannot really proclaim that they are better. They are like that, they come and go. It is like situation. And we all say Corona, what a terrible situation that the world went through. But some these vaccine makers, they made lot of money in that. Otherwise their business was not going well, but because of this Corona, everybody is in many places mandated to get vaccinated. So they could sell lot of vaccine. Also, you see that what the funeral homes, because lot of people died, so they made lot of money also, funeral homes. So for some the situation was better, because of Corona. Wonderful, very good situation. So it is, things are better or worse, who knows. For some it is better, for some it is not so good. It is. So earlier who used to wear masks, but after Corona, everybody is making masks, so has to put on masks. So mask makers, those manufacturers, they also did good business. So what I mean is that it is, so some situations are better for somebody, worse for somebody. If you want to buy the stocks, you watch when they are falling down and then I will buy. But if you want to sell, the situation is opposite. So what I mean that our temporal truth, empirical truth, situational truth does not satisfy our hunger for absolute freedom, for absolute bliss, for absolute existence. We therefore look for something more than that, and that is the truth supreme, the truth absolute, which gets variously reflected as these relative truths. So relative truths, they cannot be there without the supreme truth. But the supreme truth can be there without the relative truths. So it is like the ocean does not depend on waves, but the waves have to depend on the ocean. So exactly like that. So today let us take a brief survey of what we studied in this book before, and then move forward. So that we will have connectivity. These are slides from the first and second class that we had, that this is the supreme truth, is the highest goal in human life. That is called the goal, highest goal. This is the only main topic of discussion in Vedanta and other religions. That is, in various different ways we discuss it. But the whole topic is what is the supreme truth and how to attain to that. How to attain to that. And then this is Bhagavatam is a Purana. There are various ways in which the truth is expounded by various religions. one aspect of it is that uh, philosophy use the reason and philosophical treatment, and thus attain that come to the conclusion about truth, and thus you get it. That is called the yoga of knowledge. And these books that you have are philosophy books. They have everything, but given to people who have a lot of steadfastness. They can hold on to things, they can keep their thinking ability at a very high level for a long time. See, it is not given to most people. Our brain gets heated very fast if we keep on reading or studying or listening to some intense discourse. Then our brain gets kind of fatigued. We cannot continue, and then we lose the train of thought. We also succumb to in between to the other temptations in life and forget this search. So, philosophy is not very much attractive to people. It is, yeah, we were seeing how many philosophy books get read by common people. Very few people read such books. Then again, reading may be done, but understanding and following is still difficult. But this kind of scriptures, Puranas, means telling the truth through biographies, the life stories, and the stories related to God. So those stories have this a natural attraction for human beings. Right from childhood, we know we like these stories. We say that it is, we want the reality, we want to be, factual and real. But it is very interesting. Sometimes, I can discuss that, but it is a very interesting point that most of us like to read, or other way of, like watching movies or plays, uh, fiction. What is circulated and liked most is not the factual things, but the fictitious things. They are fictions. They are given as fiction. A novel or a story, and it is sometimes told very explicitly that none of the characters uh, here have anything to do with any real people. If you find some similarities, you should take it only as a coincidence. That is very clearly told. And yet, you see, one gets so much involved in those fictitious stories, right from children to the very old people. They read, and then their mind starts journeying along the main character's journeys there. Mm. So the stories have this important quality. So this quality is used also by the religious teachers, that these truths, both that what the truth is and how to realize it, the end and the means, both are given through very enchanting, alluring stories. So you get into that flow of the story. And what happens, I used to remember in the childhood that I used to go to my not only me, many others around. that to my grandmother. She was expert storyteller. We want to have a story. So, and long story is needed, not just she would tell something in 2 minutes and that's today, that's enough. No, we always wanted a long story. So, once she said, "How long do you want? How big a story you want?" And then how long, we didn't want to put an upper limit. So said, "Tell a never-ending story, in the story that never ends." And she began that there was a granary. A lot of grain was stored in that. And then one day that granary had a big hole, somehow due to whatever, a big hole. And then, oh, what to speak now, all the birds, they had a big feast time, free for all, help yourself. So it is, one bird came, took a grain, went away. Then another bird came, took a grain, went away. Then another bird came, took a grain, went away. So the grandmother continued it for 2 minutes. And we couldn't take it anymore. Well, but what next? What next? There is a lot of grain and lot of birds. So it will not be finished so soon. So you wanted a long story, isn't it? So it should be long, but it should not have just the repetition of the same thing. So that is why the same truth is told through varying stories. And those stories had lot of wondrous things, unexpected twists and turns. And that is the characteristic of a successful novel, that while you are expecting this thing to happen, suddenly the things change. You were seeing this person is becoming richer and richer. His businesses, through the astute management and endeavors, the fortune of this person was just going on in, bringing more and more wealth. And suddenly a twist comes there. This person is holding a panhandle, begging on the street. So, oh, wow, what, how? So it is, now there are such twists that attract people. Unexpected things happen. So that is how the stories, they get built up. This is the psychology of stories. Moreover, these creative fiction writers, they again, and this is the psychology of that it is the daydreaming of persons. That is what is captured there. It is daydreaming continues for everyone till one realizes God. It is Sigmund Freud. He has a very nice book, a deep analysis of this idea that daydreaming and creative writers. That daydreaming, he points out, as long as there are desires, you cannot stop daydreaming. You can control it to some extent, but you cannot eliminate it as long as there are desires. And how long are there going to be desires? Till all desires are fulfilled. till you realize God, basically. Till you realize that you are the Brahman. Then the desire cease. And then no daydreaming. But till then, daydreaming continues. And so, each of us is writing a story. We may not be expert storytellers, but the stories keep on happening. And this tendency is used by the storytellers that people like to read. The expert authors uh, are those who can catch the imagination of lot of people in various ways. It is like somebody, I didn't see that movie, but somebody was describing an Alfred Hitchcock's movie, that it is uh, that the photography, just a photography, it is suspense and some thrill and uh, some fearful events happening and all that. They were the characteristic of this movie maker. So it is shown on a sidewalk. A man is walking. First the man was shown, but then only the footsteps were being shown. Tick, 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 walking. And then in front there was walking on the same sidewalk ahead of this man, a person who ate a banana, and this is shown very graphically, and put down the peel on the sidewalk. This man was shown walking. Now repeatedly the man's steps and the banana peel, they were being shown. So you automatically, your mind starts racing with that. Oh, now the fellow is going to slip over that trip and will have a big fall. You were thinking like that, and it. So what it means is that your mind is being carried with this story. If the storyteller is an expert storyteller. So it is in English language, you can see, who reads original Shakespeare these days, I don't know, I have not read myself. But say the Tale of Two Cities, you know who is the author, Tale of Two Cities? Charles Dickens, yeah, thank you. So Charles Dickens, this writing is so inviting. You get involved in this story and then you start walking along with it. That is what these Puranas also do, that they capture your attention. You get entangled in that, and thus you move. So these are the characteristics of any story, but the difference in Puranas is that they entangle you to take you away from your worldly entanglements and to the divine realization. This is the difference, that other stories make you go in the same rut again. There is no liberation that comes from them. It is they take you to some alternative perceptions, means for a time being you forget as to where you are. You get identified with those characters. Yeah, especially little children reading the fairy tales, you can see their eyes just goggling and thinking. You can easily see that they are now in a different, time and space. But they do not take you to anything that is essentially different from this world of bondages. Whereas these Puranas, They take you to the truth supreme. That is how the highest philosophy becomes easy to comprehend. That is, and then spiritual life looks practical, connected with us. Philosophy doesn't do that for most people. But when it is told that, look, this person's life, when did this spiritual practice got actually altered, changed, and thus realized God. It is shown, that this person was also like us, uh, that falling for all the different sense pleasures, had different desires and aspirations, but then somehow got uh, into some holy company, and then unexpected twist came to the tale and this person became a great devotee. We saw that in many stories in the Bhagavatam. So these stories, they help us to have that the spiritual life is something real, practical, and I also can have it. So this is very important aspect of it. Then this Bhagavata Purana begins with this, that there is a glorifying part of it, that every this Purana has uh, a glory, like even when you read this Chandi or Durga Saptashati. In Bengali it is called Chandi, 700 verses on Divine Mother. It is also a Purana. So there is, in the beginning, there is the glory of it is being told, eulogies, that what it is. So here the eulogy is also spiritual. A discussion is going on between Shaunaka and Suta. So Suta is the narrator here. Suta is talking to Shaunaka. Shaunaka had a question: how does one develop discernment? That is Viveka, in Sanskrit it is called Viveka, which is obtained through bhakti, knowledge and dispassion. So Shaunaka is quite aware. The question shows that one can obtain this discernment through the practice of devotion, knowledge and dispassion. So, and he further describes what is the result of this Viveka, the discernment makes our vision clear, truth gets separated from appearance. And thus we move very close to see what is true. The faculty of discernment needs to be awakened. But how one gets it in life, that is the question. And then this is told, the whole Bhagavatam gets told in this answer to this question. The whole story comes that yes, it is. You can see by absorbing this truth of the stories of the Lord, then you will get discernment. So it is that, and it is told that, this is an age. This is an age, but it doesn't mean a particular time as such. It is, there are different descriptions of this, that okay, these many millions of years it was Satya Yuga, means the age of truth. Then there was the age of say Dwapara, then there is the age of Kali. So 4 yugas are told, that time periods. But this psychologically these ages are not exactly like that. There is that uh, there is they where the minds go automatically and stay uh, in God. The people's minds are not going down in these material enjoyments. Automatically, the minds are turned like that. So that is called the age of truth. When there is both, there is the desire for these sensory pleasures, and for that one cheats this, that is there, because the problem with the sensory pleasures is that you have to cheat somebody else to get it, because there is always more demand than the supply. So you have to there is a competition, it is sometimes called rat race, but the rats are not so competitive, and they are more cooperative, I think, than human beings. Human beings, they try to uh, just trip other person in the race and win the race. So other person may be running faster than you, but you put your leg across there and let that fellow fall, and then so this is the human tendency. This is there, and also there is the understanding that this is not right at all. There is the drag towards the spiritual goal also. So, and this is a mixture there. So, it is called Treta, in the that is the period called of Rama. So Rama was in the Treta Yuga, means where you have the clear characteristics. These two are, there is not much confusion between them. And that, but then an age comes where the confusion becomes more, that the characters are so mixed up that it is these different desires, they get mixed up with the spiritual desires. So confusion. You are following, running actually to get the sensual pleasures, but then you feel that you are also following the religion. So there is a mixed thing, It is, and Kali Yuga is a further concretization of that. That all the values are changed, gone. So the materialism passes for spirituality. It is that is what happens. A state of degradation due to lack of understanding of the goal of life, loss of moral values. All the immoral things, they get labeled as moral. In fact, if you see the philosophers, some of the great names of our times, that it is difficult for, they say that there is nothing like moral and immoral. Everything can be, you say, can be moral in different situations. So the distinction between moral and immoral gets obliterated. It is, so what I do is fair, what you do is not fair. So that is how in the Kali Yuga, these times you can see that the values have changed, and we don't understand also that it is changed. The confusion is so deep it is therefore like a rudderless ship where we are moving, we don't know. So, Narada describes the degradation to sage Sanaka, that there is no restraint, no truth, no purity, no compassion. Intellectually myopic, external showiness, all this increases in Kali Yuga. These vices have even captured the religious organizations. Even means the religion is meant for taking us out of this, but they also, after all, they are part of society. They also, therefore, are corrupt. That is what Narada is telling, that religious organizations and hermitages, they also are full of these vices, and heedless indulgence in pleasures without responsibility. That is another thing, that I indulge in pleasures, but I don't want to own the consequences of that. So, by calling it as natural, it is, yes. So, that is the problem that this age faces. And then there is, we studied the story of Parikshita, that it is that a few topics discussed in the last 4 volumes, this story of Narada, a great example how as a child born of what parentage not very clear, the mother was there but who was the father, that was not clear, and at the a very early age he had to leave the home and went on in the forest to practice austerities and so forth, and thus you realize God. So what it tells is that your birth and other things in life, they cannot be held as something that prevents you from realizing the truth. You may be of a very humble birth and put to lot of hardships, and yet you can realize the highest truth. Then Shuka narrating Bhagavat to Parikshita. That is how this, what we have, this Bhagavatam is one stream that we get Bhagavatam from, is this Shuka telling Parikshita. How Shuka got it? There is this nice story that it is that Shiva was telling Parvati that she asked that, well, why you never seem to be getting old? Why you are immortal? And he tells, well, I have the story of immortality with me. But then tell me, Parvati says, tell me, you are my husband. What is this? That, yeah, it is that, why? It is so, what is this story? Tell me. And actually the story is told in a more elaborate way, but for our today's, I had told it earlier in a more elaborate way. But let us, Shiva said, I will tell you, but only you. Nobody else should listen to. So he made all that Kailash mountain where he and Parvati were discussing. He told all the creatures, everybody go away from there. And everybody followed the advice. And then he started narrating the immortality story to Parvati. But what happened that there was a parrot's egg, and now the egg could not get away, it remained there. And then as the story began, a parrot came out of that egg and heard the story. And when Shiva saw that, hey, this fellow was hearing, he went after it to catch and kill it. And then ran. This parrot flew, and then where to hide now from Shiva? So this parrot hid itself in the womb of Vyasa's, the sage Vyasa's wife. I got in. Now Shiva came, there was Vyasa there, said that, oh, let me have this. This fellow heard that story of immortality, not qualified to hear this. I want to kill that fellow. Vyasa, an intelligent man, said, well, it has taken refuge in my wife's womb. How can you get now? And secondly, there is no meaning in this idea because he has already got the story of immortality. So how can you kill him? So if that story is really that of immortality, then you cannot kill him. And if you can kill him, then that story is not the story of immortality. So that is how it is said that Shuka got this Bhagavatam. So then when Parikshit was, because of some folly he committed, and because of which he was cursed by the son of a sage, that you will die, because this Parikshit was asking for water to a sage. The sage was in meditation, didn't hear anything. So just in anger, he took up a dead snake was there. He took up that snake and hung it around the neck of that sage as a garland, as it were. So, but when the sage didn't realize he was in deep meditation, his son came and saw that somebody has insulted my pious dad like this. Whosoever has committed this kind of folly, this insult was put on my dad like this, that fellow will die in 7 days by a snake bite. And thus the king got the news, and then the king was not perturbed, said, yes, so I now know, at least this knowledge has come that I will die in 7 days. He was a very pious king, and so he had this Bhagavatam heard during that time. All the different sages were there, they were narrating, and they were present while Shuka came and started narrating Bhagavatam, the story of God, the best way that one can make the use of life. That yes, hear this, don't waste time. Parikshit decided not to waste a moment. He left all the cares of the kingdom, gave it to his son, and then went on the Ganges and sat there, and Shuka started narrating the Bhagavatam, this great story of immortality that he had got directly from Lord Shiva, narrating there. So this is how we saw Then there are the stories of Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, cultivation of bhakti, and story of Prahlada, story of Swayambhuva Manu, Uttanapada and Dhruva. Then their lineage Prachin Barhishi, Puranjana and Prachetas that we saw in the first 4 books. And then we are going to begin the 5th book. I wanted to start today, but there is no time. So the story we will start from the next class, that another lineage of Swayambhuva Manu. So let us conclude with our regular closing chant, and then if you have any questions, then you can ask. Nigamakkalpatarurgalitam phalam शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरुहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः. O devotees, quaff to intoxication this nectar of the fruit of the tree of Vedas, flowing from the mouth of the great sage Shuka and mixed with the ambrosia from his words. Any question? Anybody has any question? Nobody. Anybody question on the web?
Yes. There is one question from Fred Richardson.
Yes, Fred.
Do the terms Viveka and Vichara have the same meaning?
Oh, well, similar meaning. It is, the Vichara means it has the root is different. It is the Viveka is the choosing the right from the wrong. Vichara means thinking, also does the same, but it is mostly connected with the ordinary things, that whether this is right or not, whether I should pay $5 for these mangoes or $6 for other mangoes. So that is the Vichara is that. Vichara is at a more like a worldly level. Viveka is the discernment as to what is right and what is not right. So although they are similar, they are not exactly same. Vichara is thinking and Viveka is discerning. So you can see thinking and discerning. Thinking is actually when you discern, you think. So it is also thinking, but all thinking is not discernment. So discernment is thinking. Thinking is a bigger set, and discernment is a subset. That it is that thinking, discernment has thinking in it, but all thinking is not discernment. So that's the difference. Any other question? Yes, Preet. Oh, upstairs, do you have a question? No. No. Wait.
In this Vichara and Viveka, Vichara, could it be said the deliberative part of the mind, and other is the determinative part of the mind? You determine after doing the Vichara, that is discernment?
Not exactly.
No?
It is both. You can have Viveka, that it is you decide, yeah, but that doesn't mean in Vichara also you decide that this is what is this and this is this. Viveka also has that. The other part that you are talking about is what is the comes with Viveka. It is called Vairagya, the dispassion. That you have the discernment, and then that discernment prompts you to give up that which is not real and hold on to that which is real. So that is called Vairagya, Vivek. So these terms go together many times, Viveka and Vairagya. So it is like that. Yeah. You have another question?
Another question is that if we take some Puranas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, they are Puranas, right?
And not technically, but
No.
yes.
Jataka is a Purana. both those.
Jataka, yes, is like Purana, yeah.
What my observation, which may not be right, in Ramayana, Mahabharata, Jataka, they are more coherent. There is a thread going on. Here is a thread, but that thread is spiritual thread, but the stories are very disparate.
Yeah, because Bhagavatam is called therefore a Mahapurana. That is, it is a huge Purana. It is, there are different threads, like a big novel, like Tale of Two Cities I was talking to. So, it has different threads and then they come together. Here all these stories are pertain to say different times and different locations, but the purpose, they are threaded together by the purpose, that's all, yeah, correct. Mahabharata is very much like that. There are so many threads in the Mahabharata. Ramayana is, you are right there. It is, coherence is there. Mahabharata is like Bhagavatam, and a similar ocean. So many different threads are there, and therefore it flows. There are these 18 and different big chapters there. Within each chapter, then again there are sub chapters, and then like that, they are called parvas, and adhyayas means the chapters. Then that adhyaya, like Bhagavad Gita, and there are again the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. So it's a big, big book. Mahabharata is like Bhagavatam, about 100,000 plus verses in Mahabharata. So, and so many different threads there, really mind-boggling in Mahabharata as well. Yeah. So, let us conclude with the closing chant, closing song. Mukunda Madhava Govinda Bol, Keshava Madhava Hari Hari Bol. Mukunda Madhava Govinda Bol, Keshava Madhava Hari Hari Bol. Hari Hari Bol, Hari Hari Bol, Hari Hari Bol, Hari Hari Bol. Krishna Krishna Bol, Krishna Krishna Bol. Krishna Krishna Bol, Krishna Krishna Bol. Mukunda Madhava Govinda Bol, Keshava Madhava Hari Hari Bol. Keshava Madhava Hari Hari Bol. Tomorrow there is the day-long meditation, that is begins at noon and up to 8 p.m. So those who would like to join, welcome.